Hi students, this is a quick tutorial to show you how to create a feelings die in Tinkercad. So the first thing you're going to want to do is log into Tinkercad and click on create a new design. So we're in a blank design. We're going to continue working in millimeters for the time being. Right now I'd like to go up and first thing, we want to rename this file. So you want to call this one feelings die. Now, die is the singular word for dice. Okay. So this is going to be a die that has opposite feelings on either side of it. All right. So we're going to be using quite a few tools that you've learned recently here. So the first thing we're going to want to do is pull the dice shape out into the work plane. The dice shape can be found at the very bottom of the basic shapes area here. Now, it defaults to 16 millimeters on each side. We want to change it to 60. Now, we could pull it out to 60 in each direction one at a time, but there is a faster way of doing that. If you hold your shift button down while you grab one of the corners, it will make it bigger proportionally. It will make it bigger in every direction at the same time. So let's get it out to 60. That being a little bigger, that'll make it a little easier to work with. All right, so the next step here is to add a word that is a feeling on the top surface here. So to be able to add something to the top surface easily, we're going to use the work plane tool. So I'm going to click on work plane and then click on the top here. That will put a yellow temporary work plane on the top. And then we're going to go grab the text tool and drag that on top here. All right. So what we want to do is now change what that text says to a feeling. Now, it needs to be a set of opposite feelings because we're going to want one feeling on the top and then the opposite feeling on the bottom. So in order to do that, we'll need to choose a feeling that has an opposite. So I'm just going to do something simple like happy. So I'm going to go in here to the text menu and change this to the word happy. Now, that's looking pretty good so far. The problem is it's way too big to fit on the top of the die there. So I am going to shrink the size of this down so that no part of this is hanging over the edge. I'm going to look at this from above, and no part of this should be hanging over the edge. Okay, looks pretty good so far. I do want to make sure that the writing is a different color than the die. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the work plane tool now by clicking on work plane and clicking somewhere else on the screen, and that'll turn off the work plane tool. All right, so we have two more steps to be able to finish the top part here. So next we're going to want to align and then group this. So to be able to align this so it's in the center left to right and front to back, we need to select both shapes. The easiest way to do that is to pull a rectangle around both shapes. Now both are selected. When both are selected, you can click on this align tool that looks like two bars in a bar graph going sideways here. Now, if that is grayed out, that means that you do not have two or more objects selected. Okay, so make sure that you have both objects selected, and you can click on that alignment tool. You'll see all three directions are listed, but we only want to center this front to back and left to right. So first, I'm going to click on the front to back middle dot, and that'll center it in the front to back direction, and then in the left to right direction. All right, so now when I look at this, I will see that the front to back center dot is grayed out and the left to right center dot is grayed out. Okay, looking good. So now I want to select both of these and then group them together. So I'm going to reselect both of them and then click on the grouping button up here. That's the one that looks like a square and a circle merged. Now you'll notice that our nice color for our writing disappeared. To get that back, we want to go into that object's color settings and click on multicolor. And now you can actually see that there. And you will see now that this acts as one nice surface or one nice object. All right, so we've got one surface done. The next step is to make an opposite word or feeling on the bottom surface here. So I'm going to go and look at this from the bottom. You can click on bottom here. And now I'm going to click the work plane tool again. And this time we're going to work on the bottom surface. All right. So I'm going to pull text out here. And whoops, looks like I've got this a little turned around. Let me go back to this and see if I can move this. There we go. I'm looking at it correctly. So now I want to do the opposite word. In this case, it'll be sad. You can choose whichever one you want. Okay. We're done with the work plane now because it's placed. Now we want to fit it. So we want to change the size so no part of this hangs over the edge. That looks like, whoops. Let's get this here and let's make sure it isn't bigger than the flat part here. That's looking good. So now we want to select both and align them both in the front to back direction and the left to right direction. So we selected both. We clicked on the alignment tool and made sure that both this to left to right and the front to back buttons are grayed out. And then lastly, we're going to select both of them and group them so they act as one. You do not need to redo multicolor. Once multicolor is turned on for an object, it is. So we have our first two sides. They are opposites. Now we're going to work on the left to right. So we're going to do the same process with the left and the right as opposites. So here I'm going to put the work plane tool on this side, grab the text tool, and I might say awake and maybe sleepy. So I'm going to shrink that down so it fits. Turn off the work plane tool. Highlight both, turn on the alignment tool. Now this time the two directions we're interested in are up to down and left to right. So I'm going to center this left to right first and up down, and then I will go ahead and group the two. And then on this side, I want to repeat the process with the opposite word, awake, and I'll choose work plane and this side, and I'm just going to put sleepy on this one. So sleepy. Making sure to shrink this thing down. Whoops, I'm going to redo that. Looks like it's a little easier to resize it while the work plane tool is still on. Undo is your friend. All right, so that's resized. Now I am going to select both and align it. So in the left to right direction and the up to down direction. And then I can group them. Okay, so we've got 4 out of the 6 done. Now your last 2 will be on the front and back sides, and you'll need to choose a last set of opposite words, and you can choose whatever other opposites that you want, including something like confident and nervous, or whatever you'd like. When you are done, make sure everything is grouped and aligned, and then you can mark your assignment as done. Okay, folks, I hope this helps.